It's a very normal timeout. Honestly, it wasn't anything that was different.
Fly on my team triggering me, in an instant. We know stuff that you don't say amongst men.
We're not even 20% the way through the NBA season, and people are already starting to say that it's the end of Jordan Poole and the Washington Wizards. And it's coming from some very credible sources. If you look at the analytical data, it makes a lot of sense as to why. Jordan Poole was brought to the Washington Wizards to be a franchise cornerstone, but apparently the feelings aren't the same. Before we get to the content, make sure you drop, like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. Now that we get all that out of the way, cue the intro. Leading up to the season, I spammed predictions at you guys consistently. Michael Porter Jr. needed over 5.5 rebounds in his season debut. Tyreek Hill just needed a touchdown, and Steph Curry just needed 1 point. Shout out to those that tailed. For those of you guys that were able to make money, we're giving away our picks for free all season long for the NBA and NFL on my Instagram at TheFlightMike. And right now, when you use promo code microphone on Prize Picks, they'll match your deposit up until $100. Thank you, Prize Picks, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? When Jordan Poole was drafted by the Golden State Warriors, it was perceived to be a colossal reach, as you could tell by this broadcast.
Jordan Poole from the University of Michigan.
Poole was not among the green room invitees, but one of the players in the crowd here. Still a young player that has a lot of growth in him.
And the reason why the Warriors were getting so much heat for drafting Jordan Poole to begin with was because he was kind of a reach. Jordan Poole averaged 13 points per game in his final season of Michigan. The only reason that you can make a legitimate argument as to why he was selected was because of his size and his three-point percentage. But every other part of him was a developmental project that the Golden State Warriors took on, and you could even make a legitimate argument that they succeeded in. And to back up the analyst that was originally making those claims, if Jordan Poole was ready to take over a basketball team the moment he was drafted, then he would have dominated in his first year. But he didn't. He averaged 8.8 points per game and shot an abysmal 28% from three. But we started to see a steady improvement in year two, going to 12 points per game off of 35% from three, despite playing less minutes per game. The breakout season would come in 2021 to 2022. Jordan Poole would average 18.5 points per game, shooting 36% from three. If you look at his advanced analytics, he had a VORP of 1.7 and an OBPM of 1.3. There's even some speculation that once Steph Curry inevitably retires, it was going to be Jordan Poole who the Golden State Warriors built upon. Warriors would win an NBA championship, and Jordan Poole would famously say this in an Instagram live.
Hey, you about to get a bag. You about to get a bag. No. You about to get a bag. We about to get a bag. We about to get a bag.
From the moment Jordan Poole signed his 4-year, $128 million contract extension, which by the way, Andrew Wiggins took a pay cut, so the Warriors could pay Jordan Poole a 4-year, $128 million contract extension. It seemed like everything was trending down from there. In the offseason, Draymond Green was caught on camera punching the living crap out of Jordan Poole, and it seemed like the Golden State Warriors were really never able to recover from there. One of my favorite channels on YouTube is a man by the name of Legends Productions. We featured him on the channel before, and there's two clips in particular that are very telling. For one, you can see Draymond Green and Jordan Poole arguing in the middle of the game, and it's not necessarily the most constructive arguing. And then secondly, it was during the Golden State Warriors playoff run. If you remember, during the Sacramento Kings series, which was a ferocious series that even included Draymond Green stepping on Domantas Sabonis, there's this one sequence when Jordan Poole came off of the court looking very uninspired. Draymond Green tried to console him, and Jordan Poole would push him off, and this would even piss off Steph Curry. The Warriors wouldn't even get close to defending their NBA championship, losing to the Los Angeles Lakers in the second round of the playoffs. And in the offseason, there were obviously some decisions that needed to be made. The pipe dream for the Golden State Warriors initially was to try to build your future and compete with your future, and hopefully have your future stars learn from your current Hall of Fame core of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. But it seemed like as time went on, that was becoming more and more unlikely. During the trade deadline, they gave up on James Wiseman, which wasn't necessarily the greatest draft pick to begin with. And then it seems like they had a choice to make between Draymond Green and Jordan Poole. These two could not be in the same locker room with each other any longer, and maybe Jordan Poole just needed his own team. So the Golden State Warriors executed the best move that they could. But trading James Wiseman for Gary Payton II was the Golden State Warriors essentially committing to their current core, which I guess as time went on, they either lied to us in the offseason about them wanting to continue in that path, or they actually had the pipe dream of continuing to develop their young talent to support their big three that has won them so many championships over the past couple of years. What do I mean by that? Well, if you remember, throughout the offseason, brand new general manager Mike Dunleavy Jr. was asked what Jordan Poole's future was going to be. If you guys remember, he said this.
Especially with his contract extension, plan to have him here for 4 more years at least.
And then within a few days, the Golden State Warriors traded Jordan Poole. Now, in the past, I've speculated that the reason why Bob Myers stepped down as the general manager of the Golden State Warriors was, one, because there was a brand new collective bargaining agreement and he felt like he may not be able to succeed under the brand new restrictions that the CBA brings, or two, he may have been faced with the possibility of needing to break up the Golden State Warriors big three. And we've talked about this before. Steph Curry is getting older. Draymond Green was on an expiring contract, and there were questions about whether or not he was going to return. In this offseason, Klay Thompson's contract is expiring. Ideally, you pass the proverbial torch to Jordan Poole. You lessen Klay Thompson's minutes. Klay Thompson becomes more of a Miami Heat Ray Allen, if you will, as opposed to Seattle Supersonics Ray Allen. But unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be. Jordan Poole and Draymond Green couldn't coexist in the locker room together. Without Draymond Green, the Golden State Warriors' heart and soul is essentially ripped out of their chest. So the Warriors would trade Patrick Baldwin Jr., Jordan Poole, Ryan Rollins, a second-round pick, and a top 20 protected first-round pick in 2030, and would receive Chris Paul in return. This was seen as a win-win for both sides. Draymond Green would continue throwing shade at Jordan Poole on his podcast.
I don't just hit people. Dialogue, of course, happens over time, and you usually ain't just triggered by something like that fast.
At some point, Draymond Green even got into a war with Jordan Poole's dad, where Anthony Poole said that Draymond Green would avoid him all of last year. He's a soft and I'm standing on this, and he didn't apologize to him and his wife, so he's lame, and me and him can meet anytime he wants. Draymond would reply to this saying, "That's so cute, it's impossible to avoid you in an arena for a year. I gotta get my family from that family room every game and stop using those words that usually don't go over well amongst men." It was just a gigantic dumpster fire that obviously couldn't be fixed. But it wasn't just Draymond Green that didn't like Jordan Poole. Even Damian Lillard sniffed that something was wrong with Jordan Poole, saying this.
Maybe like 2 years ago, we played against Golden State and Steph was hurt and he scored on me. He hit a shot, he hit a three, and he started talking shit. I don't talk. I kind of look back like, what? So I think I had like 40, but we lost at Golden State. I'm at the free throw line and he's just back there just talking. So I turned to him and I'm like, man, shut up. He was like, make me. Then like shortly after that, we played him on, I think, MLK Day, and he was on the bench, and I started the game real slow. He says, oh, he ain't on tonight. So I turn and look at him. Draymond is sitting next to him. In that game, I ended up scoring 60 points, and we beat him. And I just remember telling Draymond, like, man, I don't mess with that dude like that. Like, I don't like him.
And we would finally get the opportunity to see if Jordan Poole could truly be the guy, which I speculated he could be, because the Washington Wizards seem to have been hitting the reset button altogether. They traded Bradley Beal, they signed Kyle Kuzma to an extension. My assumption is so they could potentially reroute Kyle Kuzma, and they have a player that theoretically isn't even in his prime yet that has shown flashes of becoming an all-star. For the Golden State Warriors, it's been a mixed bag, and we have a video on that already, on how they have a huge problem in regards to finding a second scorer next to Steph Curry, which it doesn't seem like it's going to be Klay Thompson anymore. I'll leave that in the end screen for you guys to watch. But in the case of the Washington Wizards, this was supposed to be a home run. Jordan Poole averaged 20 points per game in the 2022 to 2023 season, but this past year, he's been having his worst season since his second year in the NBA. At the time that we're recording this video, Jordan Poole is averaging 16 points per game out of 30% shooting from the arc. But the scary part of this is his advanced analytics. Now, I know it's still premature. I know know we're not even like 15% of the way through the season yet, but if you take a look at his advanced statistics from last year's down year with the Golden State Warriors, he was a negative 0.1 OBPM. In his best year with the Warriors, he was a 1.3, and he was a 1.7 VORP in his best year with the Golden State Warriors. He's always been a liability to some extent on defense, but this past year has been his worst year since his rookie year in terms of offense. With a negative 4.1 OBPM, he's not really helping defensively either for an overall negative 6.2 OBPM. The difference is this year, Jordan Poole is on a huge contract. He's no longer on his rookie season. Now, part of this could be attributed to the fact that he's no longer on the Golden State Warriors for sure, but you have to admit, this is not what the Washington Wizards wanted, and I guess you could say a part of this is because Kyle Kuzma isn't necessarily having the best season either, and although I feel like it's very likely that Kyle Kuzma is going to get traded, originally the theory was Jordan Poole was going to be the Washington Wizards franchise cornerstone. I mean, the moment he got traded, he said this: "Obviously, I wanted to be in a position to have my own team. Luckily, I'm able to do that so young after learning from some of the best." Very nice, politically correct answer to make sure that Warriors fans wouldn't hate him. But so far, it just hasn't been looking good for Jordan Poole. Viral clips like this during a timeout where Jordan Poole is clearly not paying attention to the head coach have been circulating on the internet, which, by the way, Jordan Poole actually is trying to defend.
Yeah, I saw it, and I was looking like, how is somebody supposed to give that commentary from the middle of the stands? I mean, obviously I can't do anything about it. Sometimes I sit down, sometimes I don't. Coaches go, they do their huddle earlier on, kind of figure out what they want to do. It's such a long time also, like it's a 2-minute timeout. The coach is probably only talking for 35 seconds or so. I mean, but I saw the play, I was locking on the play, I went back just to ask the question, just to make sure. Just continue to be vocal, communicate with my teammates. It's a very normal timeout, honestly. It wasn't anything that was different.
And this is leading to a rumor that is just here way too quickly. I mean, it's been 12 games of Jordan Poole's Washington Wizards career. Once again, he's finding himself in trade rumors. According to Mark Stein, Washington just wants Jordan Poole to build up his trade value for a future move, as opposed to seeing him as a cornerstone player. My sense from speaking to various league observers is that more believe it is the former rather than the latter. The worst part is Jordan Poole isn't necessarily doing the best job boosting his trade value. He currently has a negative 131 plus minus and a negative 21.7 net rating. The Washington Wizards are one of the worst teams in the NBA, and there's some people that are speculating why Jordan Poole is performing so poorly. Paul Pierce thinks it's the fact that he's now the guy, so Jordan Poole's finding out how hard it is to be the man when the scouting report is all about you. At the end of the day, it's still relatively young in the season, but Jordan Poole is a classic example of what happens whenever you're way too cocky and way too pompous whenever you were given an opportunity to succeed. I don't know what he said to get Draymond Green to punch the living crap out of him, but according to Draymond Green, he doesn't just punch anyone. But I guess it's a situation where whenever you're not supposed to make it in the NBA, whenever people are calling you a reach, and then you fulfill your potential and then some, and you are the X factor of a championship winning team that hasn't been able to win a championship or contend for a championship until you were selected there, I guess all of those factors get into your head and you start getting an ego, and maybe that's why he ended up getting traded, why he's in the situation he is in now. Honestly, at the end of the day, I'd rather be like the fourth man getting paid the amount of money that Jordan Poole's getting paid and eventually take the torch from Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, as opposed to potentially being the man on a rebuilding Washington Wizards team. I mean, there's a very legitimate chance that Klay Thompson doesn't play for the Golden State Warriors next year, and it's not because the Warriors can't afford him, it's more because he just isn't playing well, and we have a whole video on that I'm gonna leave in the end screen for you guys to watch. Let me know in the comment section down below. Do you think this is the end of Jordan Poole? Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.